welcome to the latest episode of BAM Weekly. That's Boris and Matt Weekly, where we talk about all things sports and all things wrestling. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and as always, I am joined by Matt.
Bonjour! How's everybody doing out there? We hope you're doing well, Boris. Better late than never. Never better than today. How are you feeling, man? How are you doing?
I'm feeling okay. All things considered, we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, what a beautiful Friday morning. It's weird saying that it's Friday. Usually Friday is my off day from podcasting unless I fill in for someone. But you know what? This was the episode that never wanted to be. But here we are. We're doing it. We're talking a bunch of things on the sports side. We're going to be talking about Team Canada and how they are dominating. Not dominating, but at least on top of the table. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we're going to be talking about Team Canada, CONCACAF, World Cup, inching closer and closer, especially after beating Mexico in the frozen tundra that is Edmonton in what was dubbed the Ice Teca. Also, we're going to be talking about MLB because there were a ton of awards handed out, some to Jays, some to not. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about, potential signees and people who have actually signed for the Jays. We're based in Toronto. We focus on the Jays. Get used to it. We're also going to be talking about Cam Newton, NFL, and then Matt went out for once. We're going to be hearing about that. Then on the wrestling
side... Join the world again, Boris!
Exactly. Then on the wrestling side, well, another week, another release. WWE does it again. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about RoH. We're going to be talking about some New Japan lead up into Wrestle Kingdom, the 3-night event, not 2, 3-night event. And then we're going to be talking about Full Gear.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to get to the Full Gear review. I think that's going to be the main event. We teased an Eddie Guerrero list, but you know what, Boris? I'm a little underprepared on that. We need to give Eddie Guerrero the respect he deserves. So if and when we do a top 10 Eddie matches, we got to come correct for that one. Yep. So there's a lot to get to. We're gonna wait this week. Apologies everyone for being late on this episode. We were both busy. Boris, I think you have a relatively somewhat clean bill of health. You at least kind of know what's going on, so that's good.
Yeah, for the most part I do. So call me the Kenny Omega of the SNMA crew because somehow I've been, living my life for the past, 2 months. I've been complaining about this pain here and there with a broken shoulder, fractured shoulder, fractured clavicle, and broken shoulder cuff, rotator cuff.
And you don't even know how it happened.
Nope, no idea. Absolutely no idea. Honestly, I've had this injury for a really long time, years even, right? I've separated my shoulder a few times when I was playing sports, but I haven't really played sports since I got all the concussions about 4 years ago. I haven't even played soccer really since then. So there's the most I've done in terms of sports is throwing a baseball, hitting a bat, hitting some balls, hitting some dingers, as they say. But outside of that, I haven't really done too much. But yeah, somehow, here I am with a broken clavicle and ripped rotator cuff. So that's going to involve some nuts and screws.
Oh, geez. Yes, you're going to have to go under the knife.
Yeah. So we're just determining timelines and procedure. I got more x-rays done. Oh, my God. Let me tell you this. I was not prepared for some of the positions the x-ray technician was putting me in. And then he took the x-rays.
Oh,
hey-o.
No.
Hey-yo.
Oh, that's good.
But seriously, it was because they wanted the auxiliary view of my shoulder, and that's essentially on top, right? They wanted to get that full view. So in order to get that, they just had to twist and pretzel me, and it was just you do know my shoulder is injured, and you are putting my shoulder in a very, very uncomfortable position. And he's like, just relax. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
stretching you out like a young Bryan Danielson in there. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, it didn't hurt, but it was like, this is not comfortable at all. And then, yeah, they just took a bunch of more x-rays. So so this is the week that was for me. Like, I've been dealing with a lot of stuff. I haven't really talked much about it on these shows, but like, I've just been super busy. It's been like work, personal stuff, injury, the past few weeks. I haven't stopped, really. Like, it's just been absolutely insane. 9 out of 10 times that Matt and I are talking, I'm on the road or like to somewhere. Even Jason, like, haven't been able to meet up. We're supposed to meet up for the beer delivery, but we haven't even been able to do that just because it's just been back and forth in so many different places. But yeah, it's been crazy. But this week, essentially, I got my x-rays done on Monday, the first set of x-rays. Then they're like, okay, you need to book a time for the ultrasound. They're like, okay, fine. They're like, can you come at 2? I'm like, no, I need to work. So they set it up for Thursday. Ended up getting the baseline bone density on Wednesday. Tuesday got first set of blood tests. Wednesday, bone density. Wednesday got the call saying, well, it might be a fracture, but we're not sure. You need to get more tests done. So yesterday in the morning, got the requisition, went and got the x-rays, got the ultrasound, waited around for the results, and that's when they told me pretty much what it was. Just because, they don't, like, at that point, they don't want me, like, injuring myself more. Right. But yeah, it's been an absolutely crazy day. And then at night, I did some more stuff. Ended up seeing Jean for a little bit. The lady friend. I should say that. Lady friend. And yeah.
Gotta keep kayfabe around here, Boris.
I know. And yeah, it was just like absolutely crazy. It was just crazy. But it was funny because at one point she's like, oh, did you get any updates on your shoulder? Like, oh yeah. So then I told her and she's like, did I do that to you? I'm like, no, you didn't.
Well, I mean, it's an explanation. It's as good as any. Did you like take a spill like while drinking in the city or anything?
Nope.
Like how? No possible.
This guy does not fall. He does not throw up.
Oh, geez. That's good. Cast iron stomach, but not a cast iron clavicle, as it turns out.
Clearly not. And it's just like, it's so weird because, like I said, I was gonna go, I just haven't had time. But last week, like I was like literally feeling my chest, and it was just like there's this huge bump, like right on the shoulder. I'm like, oh, that's not yeah, that's not right. That's not normal. That can't be good. So yeah, so there we go. So that's gonna be a thing. What I'm most not even worried about is, I don't know how long I'm going to be like in a cast for, right? But I'm just thinking It's my right shoulder. I got to start learning how to do stuff with my left hand.
Yes, lots of things. Podcasting especially. Yeah. This is a saucy episode. A saucy edition of BAM. Yeah, man. Well, heal up. I'm sure, like if you miss a pod or two, that ain't no thing. We'll pick up the slack around here at BAM. I can fly the plane here for a week or two if need be. Hopefully, not crash it directly into a chasm. Immediately get us canceled. But if your Cody Rhodes takes haven't gotten us canceled, I think we're good. I think we'll make it.
I think more if my Cora Jade takes haven't gotten us canceled.
You have some hot ones lately. You are the human hot ones. So yeah, I went out into the world I went to my first public event, Boris, in like 2 years, literally. Like I've been to like out and about here and there. I've gone to get-togethers with friends and family, but I haven't gone to like a place where you have to show vaccination and pay to get tickets and such. And yeah, went to see an AHL game, Toronto Marlies versus Laval Rocket. It was awesome. Great time, buddy.
Really cool, really cool. You sent me some pictures. You had amazing seats, couple rows behind the bench. That's really awesome. You saw your boy, Caulfield, going at it.
It was the funniest thing, too, because I think we've all had this experience where you're sitting down, you're having some drinks, you're having a good time, and then you stand up, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, my, I'm drunk.
That's a Tuesday afternoon.
It was actually a Wednesday evening, but
well, for me, it's
Boris,
a Tuesday afternoon. That's what I call it, Tuesday afternoon. That's a joke because I'm implying that I drink a lot. So even on the most uncommon of days, I will be drunk to the point when I get up, I will be, whoa, I am drunk.
Yeah, I was just tagging it. I was just tagging the joke, buddy. Just rolling along.
And I'm still rolling. I'm still rolling with it.
Toronto, the Marlies were up 5-1 on Rocket, and then Laval scores 4 in a row, including, I think, the 5-5 goal was scored by Cole Caulfield.
Nice.
And at that point, when he tied the game for the dramatic comeback, that was when I went from 0 to 60. All of a sudden, I'm up, I'm yelling, I'm pointing out the other 2 Habs fans that I can see, and we're all screaming, and everyone hates me in this section. I'm so close to the Toronto players, they can all hear me. It was just like, oh man, I just realized at that moment, A, I'm having a lot of fun. B, I'm quite drunk.
Yeah.
And C, let's go Rocket. And then they won in a 9-round shootout. And then immediately Cole Caulfield got called back up to the Montreal Canadiens. So it was the best possible case scenario for an AHL game. And we had amazing tickets for free. So
let me tell you this, AHL games, Marlies games in particular here in Toronto, tons of fun. I don't understand, and this is like why. We've talked about this. I've talked about this with Jason many times, even on the midweek markout. I've talked to you about this. I talked to a lot of people about this. It's not a secret. Toronto's a really fickle town when it comes to sports, right? Like
front runners.
Yeah, it's top tier or nothing, right? It's go big or go home. Or stay home, I should say, because, it's no secret how Leaf tickets are impossible to get. Even this year, everyone was like, I'm sure there will be many because of your vaccine passport. But no, that's not the case. The reality is that every game is still sold out. But then you go to a Marlies game, and it's couple thousand max spread out.
Yeah, exactly. But it's nice. It's like, it's a good group. It's a loud, passionate group. And the quality of hockey is pretty good. All these guys are fighting to either get back to the NHL, prove that they deserve to be in the NHL, whatever it might be. And then you see some people like Cole Caulfield who are sent down inexplicably due to mismanagement, but are still able to shine on that stage.
Exactly. And it's like going to Buffalo and watching a Bison's game, right? Like it's just so much fun. There's something to be said about the hunt to make it to the top tier, right? The hunt to make it back to the show, the hunt to make it back to the NHL. There's really something to be said about that. And then just like, I find that it's, dare I say, more like it's more competitive in that sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a different style. It's a different kind of competitive. It's like a different thing, but I know exactly what you're saying. Like every game takes a certain amount of gravitas, a certain weight to it, because it could be all these people are fighting for their jobs, fighting for their hockey lives.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, dude, that's awesome that you made it out. Awesome that you finally got reintegrated back into real life society.
I'm very excited. The final step is indoor comedy shows. I feel like that's coming next.
Dude.
And then I'm going to get back to performing. Boris, we're all the way back. Almost. 85% of the way back, buddy.
85% of the way back. Case numbers are rising. It's an interesting time here. I hope that things kind of stabilize. But we'll see what ends up happening. Anyways, when you go to a comedy show, let me know. I need to go holler, ha ha a little bit. We got to do that.
We should grab some tickets to something at Comedy Bar in the next couple of weeks. I'd be down for that for sure.
Yeah, we live literally right down the street from it. So, and I love the fact that we live so close to Comedy Bar. Like, I would just randomly show up there with friends, like, on a Sunday evening, and it was like a great time. Have you ever had the food from Comedy Bar?
No, actually never once. I've had numerous of the beers that are offered at Comedy Bar, but no, I've never eaten there.
Same here. Good stories from Comedy Bar, especially after one of Jason's, like a few of Jason's shows. Oh yeah. Anyways, their burrito is one of the better burritos in the city.
Wow, strong words.
Yeah, coming from me, coming from a purebred Latino, one of the best burritos in the city.
What an endorsement. I'll definitely have to check one of those out, man. That's I would have had no idea. That's great.
Yeah. One of my good friends, not divorced, had his engagement at Comedy Bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's it. That's fun. That's a good place for a party.
It was interesting.
You know, yeah.
So he
Comedy Bar usually has killers, like great comics all the time, but sometimes they can be like weirder shows and hit and miss. So I wonder what he actually saw. I wonder what they saw on that night.
I can tell you. Let me tell you the story now that we have a little bit of time. You know, we gotta give the listeners a little extra today, I feel, right? Like, today might be a bigger, badder Bam.
Yes. Supersize me.
Funny enough. Oh, well, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, so, yeah, friend. Okay, so he randomly, he's like, hey, what are people doing on a Friday, like on our group chat? And you have to understand, like, my group of core friends, it's like a group of 15, 16 people. It's much too large. It's much too large. Too much drama. Too many people. It's not like a friends where it's a core group of 5. It's like fucking 16 people. Like, it's impossible. Anyways, so we're all free. We all make time, and he's like, okay, come to Comedy Bar. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, blah, 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 blah. What he wanted to do for a long time was hire a magician.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this friend, he's super into magic, a little too into magic for my liking sometimes.
All right.
Hired a magician. So then it's like a bunch of friends are there and really close friends. So, like, you kind of knew what was going to happen, right? But you weren't exactly sure what was going to happen. And, yeah, so in the middle of the performance, and anyways, I was given the information, you know, prior to the night. But I'm just saying this from a whatever point of view. So in the middle of the show, magician is doing stuff. He calls up my friend and his girlfriend at the time, and they're doing a trick. And in the middle of the trick, boom, ring pops up, and he proposes in the middle of Comedy Bar in front of all of the friends. He rented out this room, hired a magician. That's how he proposed.
That's a pretty slick move. But I have one more. Like, did he really like magic, or does she at all care about magic? You know what I mean?
Does not give two shits about magic. And that is why this marriage lasted under 2 years.
That sounds about right. I think a general rule of thumb is you want to plan the engagement to impress the lady, not yourself. You know,
Matt,
like
that is the equivalent, Matt. That is the equivalent of me proposing to some special lady in the middle of an indie wrestling show.
Exactly right. Which would just be absurd.
Unless it's barbershop chick, it's not gonna fly well.
True. Yeah, oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah, maybe you will find your soulmate in an indie wrestling crowd, Boris. Who knows?
Life goals. I will now. This is it. It's gonna happen. When I get engaged, it will happen in the middle of an indie wrestling show. You've heard it here first on BAM. Supersized BAM.
That's it. Supersized BAM edition.
More BAM for your buck.
That is hilarious. I'm actually surprised Buddy didn't get a public no. Like, she didn't care about magic at all.
You know what's
they went to Comedy Bar.
You know what's funny?
Oh, man.
After the fact. So even that night, after the fact, she was like, I was tempted to say no because this is stupid.
Oh, that is amazing. That is actually one of the funniest things that's ever happened at Comedy Bar. No offense to Comedy Bar. Like I said, they often have killers up there, some great shows all the time. But that is absolutely fucking hilarious. It's one of the best things I've ever heard.
Yep. Yeah, no, honestly, it's funny. I don't know why, just reminiscing about Comedy Bar, that story just popped up. It's just like one of the funniest stories. And you know what? This is the advantage of your friends not giving a crap about any of your podcasts because you can talk about them.
Very good. All right, man. Do you want to get into business here?
All right, let's get into business. So first order of business. Team Canada CONCACAF. Dude, we are so close to qualifying. So close. So close. After 8 matches, Canada is at top of the table with 4 wins, 4 draws, and the only team with 0 losses. Currently, we have 16 points. USA, number 2, 4 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss, 15 points. Team Mexico, number 3, with 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, 14 points. And then Panama rounding out the top 4 with 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, 14 points. Goal difference makes a difference. That's why Mexico's number 3. As it stands today, Canada, USA, Mexico in the World Cup, Panama in the qualifier round. Now, this is huge. This is by far the best. And FIFA World Cup rankings have come out. Matt, since 1986, we have not been this high. We are at number 40 in the world right now.
Awesome. Number 40. Crack the top 40. That we did it, Boris. Looks like we made it. That is the highest we've been in my lifetime. Right on. Yeah, man, Canada's looking great. What can you say about the Ice Teca, that awesome celebration, people jumping in the snowbanks, Boris? Kyle Larin now the all-time tied for the all-time international Canadian goal-scoring leader. He did it in about half the games that Dwayne De Rosario did. It's exciting times for Canada's soccer. Yep. Every game they play is like the best they've ever looked. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Like, they started off a little shaky, a little rocky, but then you look at the stats. Mexico in the first half had 0 shots, 0 shot attempts, 0 shots on net. It's insane how the defense has really just helped. It's insane how the midfield is just like moving the ball so well. And then what can you say about Alphonso Davies? That man is a beast. He can run from end to end and just steal the ball without you noticing. Jonathan David, he didn't play too long, but he had a great game. Kyle Larin, Larin, as I like to call him, man, so good. He is so good. I remember seeing him play for Orlando, and you knew that he was just something special. Atiba Hutchison, legend in the Canada uniform. Some would say one of the best, if not the best. Him and Dwayne De Rosario, just absolute legends. Julian de Guzman. But now this team, there's something about this team I don't know what it is. I legitimately don't know what it is. Obviously, they all play regularly in their top tier clubs. That's a huge thing, right? But when they come together, it's just this team, this group of kids, they just want it. They're hungry. Dude, and a lot of people want to throw the argument that Mexico isn't as strong as they used to be. That doesn't matter. It does matter a little bit, but at the end of the day, this Canada team is just amazing. Just absolutely amazing. I love to see this because it looks like, the possibility of us qualifying in the January window is very, very high. In the January window, January 27th, we have Honduras, and then January 30th, we have the good old USA.
Yeah, so that Honduras is in last place in the group. They only have 3 points in 8 games. It's I believe what do they have here? 3 draws, right? Yeah, they didn't get a win. They got 3 draws. So they're winless. I think we should realistically crank Honduras. That would put us in really good shape. Man, very, very exciting. But yeah, that American game, when is that? The 30th, you said, of January?
Yep.
So that's a ways away. But yeah, circle that one on the calendar. That is going to be humongous.
Yep, even the 28th is going to be a huge game because if people remember 2 World Cup qualifying stages ago, Honduras, all we needed to do was draw or win against Honduras. It was a huge game, aired on Sportsnet, and we got whooped 8-1.
Oof. Depressing times, but we've come a long way.
Oh, 100%. And that's the thing. People don't realize how far we've come. And honestly, MLS has done wonders for the North American game. You know what it is, Matt? Now kids who play soccer stay playing soccer. The biggest issue that they had for the longest time was when they turned 14, 15, 16, unless they were being signed to a club overseas, they didn't have a future in soccer. But now with MLS, say what you want about MLS, it's professional soccer. You get paid to play top-tier soccer in one of the major countries. MLS is now turning into the destination for South American players. That's all I wanted from MLS. It's not ever going to compete against the Premiership. It's not going to compete against La Liga. It's not going to compete against the Bundesliga. It's not going to compete against those major Western European leagues. But we have something special here in MLS. It's becoming the go-to destination for players from all of the Americas. That's all you can ask for, because now your American and Canadian kids are playing against really good players, gives them the experience, first-team experience, and then they can go into these qualifiers and look good. And then, the players that shine through, your Alphonso Davies will go play for those amazing Western European teams like Alphonso Davies and Bayern Munich, right? Or it's just a win-win-win-win-win situation at the end of the day for everyone. And while the MLS has been huge, Canada launching the CPL has been just as huge, because now locally you have the opportunity to play professionally and then get noticed. The CPL and Hamilton, the Forge, they're having an incredible run, so much so that they are going to be in the CONCACAF Champions League next year, because they made it to the CONCACAF League semifinals. So they've already qualified for the CONCACAF Champions League, and that's huge. That's absolutely huge. They're going to be going up against, the Club Americas. They're going to go up against, the LA Galaxies, the Seattle Sounders. They're going up against these top-tier clubs from CONCACAF.
Yeah, man, it's a very exciting time for soccer in the Canadian nation. It's really growing, and you look at the ratings for the Canada-Mexico game this week. It crushed every other sporting broadcast on TV. It did really, really well. So I don't know, man. It's a very exciting time. It's like you said, it's a very likable, exciting young team. It's getting fans of all ages back into soccer, and there's a reason why it's such a popular sport around the world, man. It's so easy to play. It's so easy to pick up a ball and kick it around.
Exactly.
And hopefully more Canadian kids, just don't poo-poo the idea of soccer. Canadian kids and Canadian parents, right?
Yep. You brought up the ratings. That was going to be the next point. TV ratings for November 16th, which was a Tuesday. Number one was Canada-Mexico with 1.153 million. 1.153 million watch on Sportsnet, dude.
That's humongous for like a World Cup qualifier. So imagine if and when they get into the dance.
Now, the Leafs Predators were number two with 603,000 on TSN 4. Oilers Jets 401,000 on TSN 3, Sportsnet West. Flames Flyers was number 4 at 167K. And then Edmonton Toronto Replay 167K. That's from the CFL. You know what I don't see on this list?
I bet I can guess. What's that?
NXT.
NXT wrestling. Do you actually know what they did?
Like 10,
on that night?
20, 15K, something like that.
I'm pretty sure they averaged 31,000 viewers.
Yep. That's where we're at.
That is where we're at on that one.
That's where we're at. Dude, think of it this way. They're averaging 30,000. When NXT, I don't like talking about numbers, but when NXT Talk is on the free feed, we get a percentage of that. Put that in perspective.
That's hilarious. Oh, man. Well, it is what it is, buddy. I mean, it's not like we can recommend the show. It's not like we could say, hey, you guys, you're screwing up by not watching this. You should be watching. It's terrible, unwatchable television.
But yeah, soccer, just amazing. It almost doubled the Leafs Predators. Like, that is, to me, that is just amazing. That's just amazing. I never would have thought. Number one. There's a few things I never would have thought. Number one, never would have thought that soccer is number one in the ratings, almost by double. Number two, I never would have thought that a stadium in Canada would, number A, sell out, and B, sell out to Canadian fans. The amount of times that I've been to national men's national, the women's is different, but men's national team, and there have been more fans, supporters for the other team
than for Canada? Yeah, that's depressing. That you never want to be in that crowd at home, but with the away vibes. That's a sad, depressing look. Yep. But yeah, man, it's the perfect sport at the perfect time. And everyone loves this snow game too, Boris. Snow games in the NFL always deliver. Well, they always deliver, but they always draw, I find. It's intriguing, it's exciting, and people love a snow game.
Oof, let me tell you about snow games. Yeah, they're fun on TV. Being in the crowd, not so much fun. I was at the infamous USA Costa Rica qualifier back in 2013 in Denver. I was in that snowpocalypse. It was insane. And the crazy part is it was beautiful throughout the day, like sunny, beautiful, similar to the weather we're having today. Went up to the mountains, got trashed in half the time because of the altitude. Like, it's crazy. And then, all day, like, just having fun, partying, beautiful weather. But as soon as we boarded the bus to go to the stadium, because, God forbid they build a stadium anywhere near the city in the USA, dude, it started getting cloudy. It started changing. Then literally as the game was starting, it just started snowing like a mother. Like, it was crazy. And then, we got to the point where, like, it was like, you've seen pictures, you've seen videos. It was just absolute pandemonium. I was literally on the last flight out of Denver the next morning. I am so grateful that we got out.
Wow, yeah, I actually don't remember this game, but I quickly Googled it. March of 2013, March 22nd, 2013. Yeah, they called it the Snow Classico. Yep. And yeah, like, look at pictures of this thing. It's crazy. It is a blizzard. That's awesome.
There. I have pictures. Wow. I was there. It's crazy because, like, there's literally a picture of me and my buddy. Like, we're just drenched in snow because it was like thick, fluffy snow that was like really coming down at one point.
Right. And these poor guys running around like t-shirt, shorts. That's crazy, man. And that is actually insane.
And the beer prices. You know what they were selling beer for at that game?
Oh my, what's that?
2 beers for $5.
This was in Denver in 2013?
Yep.
Good heavens.
Yep. 2 beers.
Well, they'll keep you warm at least, Boris.
I don't even know what I was feeling at that point. Honestly, it was just crazy fun game. And it's a game that I'm never going to forget, ever. I can be senile on my deathbed, and I'm not going to forget that game, I'm sure.
I could see why. Not forget that cold anyway. You probably weren't dressed for it.
Oh, I wasn't. It was just so freaking weird. All right, let's move on. MLB. Congratulations to the Blue Jays' own Robbie Ray on winning your first Cy Young, on 4th Blue Jay to win a Cy Young. Congrats, buddy boy.
Yeah. And I thought it was going to be closer than it was. Robbie Ray received 29 out of 30 first-placed votes for the Cy Young. The only other pitcher to get a first-place vote was Garrett Cole, who finished second in the voting. Lance Lynn finished third from the Chicago White Sox. I'll just finish off the top 5 here. Nathan Eovaldi finished 4th, and Carlos Rodon from the White Sox also finished 5th in Cy Young voting. So yeah, Robbie Ray in a little bit of a landslide, Boris. Kind of shocking.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely. I'm shocked that it was like that much of a landslide. But then when you actually take a look at the numbers, if he didn't win, it would have been the fix of 2021 because he led in almost everything except wins.
I think he's a well-deserved winner. I think he was the best pitcher. But yeah, it's just crazy to see him actually get the respect that he deserved over Garrett Cole because he's a big-name New York Yankee.
Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. It's like I can't. I'm happy for him. I really freaking am. So happy. But it's you're looking at the awards that this team is getting, and it's just like makes you feel so good. But then you remember about the 2 big names that we have to re-sign, and like I've been saying for months, it's one or the other. I will be shocked if we sign both.
Feels good until you remember he's a free agent. It's kind of looking more and more like we may get neither, just because they're going to both get fat contracts. But yeah, I'm definitely worried about re-signing Robbie Ray, worried about re-signing Marcus Semien, who we'll touch on in a little bit. But before we get off the Cy Young topic, I also wanted to read the National League top 5 and winners. So Corbin Burns from Milwaukee wins the National League Cy Young, but this was very, very close. He got 12 first place votes. Zach Wheeler from Philadelphia finished second. He also got 12 first place votes. So it was super, super close. Came down to who had him second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. Max Scherzer, who split time between the Nationals and Dodgers this year, finished third, and he got the rest of the first place votes there. He got 6. Coming in fourth for the Dodgers, your boy Walker Buehler, and coming in fifth, Brandon Woodruff from the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yep. Corbin Burns, good on him. That's really cool. And I think the race that everyone was thinking, but we're gonna touch on the NL first. So congratulations, Bryce Harper, 5th player to earn MVP honors with 2 teams.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, both in the same division too, which doesn't happen too often. So yeah, Bryce Harper wins 17 first place votes. We had Juan Soto finishing second with 6 first place votes. Fernando Tatis Jr. finishing third, which is pretty impressive considering he played 2 different positions and missed a lot of time. But he still got third in MVPs voting, so that's good. 2 first place votes. Brandon Crawford in fourth with 4 first place votes, but less ballots and such. And in fifth, splitting time between Washington and LA, was Trey Turner, who I think actually probably would have been third or second on my ballot. Trey Turner was awesome this year.
Yep, exactly. He did some amazing stuff, but I don't know. I always feel like he gets overlooked in terms of just being a pure great player. And then the race that everyone was really talking about was the AL. No surprise here, but at the same time, I kind of feel that it was a much bigger blowout than it should have been.
It was unanimous, Boris. 30 out of 30 first place votes for Shohei Ohtani to be the American League MVP. Vladimir Guerrero finished second. Marcus Semien of the Blue Jays finished third. Aaron Judge finished fourth, which to me is a little high, but he did have an awesome season. And then Carlos Correa finished fifth for the Houston Astros in AL MVP voting. So yeah, obviously as Blue Jays fans, we wanted to say like, someone throw Vladdy a shout, get him 1 vote. But man, Shohei Ohtani had the best 2-way season that anyone's ever had.
Here's the thing,
he's doing things that haven't seen in 100 years.
You're correct. We haven't seen this since Babe Ruth. A 2-way player, but outside of his home run numbers, he was good at best. But because he was a 2-way player, he won the MVP, which I kind of find a little iffy at the end of the day.
I don't know. I can squint a little bit and see that argument, but I disagree with you. I as much as I love Vladdy, don't get me wrong. I have a Vladimir Guerrero t-shirt. I'm sure a lot of people in Toronto do. I don't think it was. I think as good a season as Vladdy had, and as much as he would have been MVP in 7 or 8 years out of 10, I still kind of think that unanimous was the right decision. I still think Ohtani was the clear most valuable player in the American League.
I don't know. I just like, for me, and again, there's just, I don't know. There's a lot. I'm not disagreeing with it, but I still think that more first place votes should have gone to Vladimir Guerrero. I don't think it was a unanimous. I clearly don't think that. There's, I don't know. Like I said, batting .257, 46 home runs, 100 RBIs, 103 runs, 26 stolen bases. And then on the other side, he went 9-2 with a 3.18 ERA, 156 Ks, and 130 and 1/3 innings. Great numbers. Like at the end of the day, it's because he was a 2-way player. That's all that gave him this, right? But again, like I've always said, is he plays for the Angels. Guerrero was literally fighting for a playoff spot up until the final day, and he was still cracking it.
I wonder if it would have been closer if the Jays actually had gotten into the playoffs. I wonder how much that mattered. I bet it did.
I bet it did.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yep.
I can see what you're saying, but I disagree. Also, I think we should point out that Bo Bichette received votes on 4 different ballots. Robbie Ray got a vote for MVP, and Teoscar Hernandez showed up on a ballot as well. So we had Jays all over the field here. Bo Bichette was as high as 12th in MVP voting this year. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Exactly. It's fantastic. Like I said, I'm so happy for the Jays. You know, Gold Glove Award winners, Marcus Semien got one. Silver Slug, we had Vladimir Guerrero, Marcus Semien, Teoscar Hernandez. It's just fantastic here. I absolutely love seeing this. But, let's see what happens with Semien. Let's see what happens with Robbie Ray. It's interesting times here. I think that overall, if you take a look at, and we're going to take a closer look at this, I think, in the next couple weeks, we should take a look at top free agents for various positions.
We sort of glossed over it already, but yeah, in a week or two, we'll do a proper breakdown, by position, maybe top 4 or 5, top 10 starters. We'll definitely do a proper breakdown. But yeah, the rumors right now are that Semien and Los Angeles Angels, your boys, your team, are looking like suitors here, and Robbie Ray still playing the field. There's still a chance that Toronto gets Robbie Ray. I think Semien's long gone. I think he's out.
Oh, for sure. I think so too. And it's a shame. It kind of sucks, but that's business. Having said that, people love shitting on this, on the powers that be at the Jays, Shapiro and Atkins, that they don't give anything back to the Jays. They don't know how to sign players. Well, we made a huge signing this week. In my opinion, huge signing. Matt, talk about it.
Jose Berrios, Boris. He's sticking around, and it's absolutely necessary. That's our number 2, number 3 pitcher for a long time. He's borderline ace level. I think if we can keep Robbie Ray, and now we have Ray 1, Berrios 2, Ryu 3, we're looking pretty good.
Yeah, that would be that looks crazy. 7-year, $131 million contract. Opt out after 5 years. So we have him at least 5 years.
Yeah, and that should be our contending window. For the next 5 years, I think Jays fans should expect them to try to win the World Series every single year, and hopefully make intelligent moves closer to the 1992-93 Jays than the 1994 to 2014 Jays.
Yeah, pretty much. It's damn you, Jays. But yeah, it's shaping up to be a very, very interesting offseason. I'm super excited, and we're going to be talking a lot of baseball in the offseason because I can see things really changing. We know that there's labor talks happening as well. We'll be talking about that. I think after the GM meetings this week, we're going to get a clearer picture as to what's going on in the labor talks. Free agency. Yeah, we're in the offseason, baby. But there's always a lot to talk about in the MLB.
Yes, sir. Yep. It's very interesting. And speaking of things to talk about, speaking of very interesting, Cam Newton, baby, he rode in on his high horse, and he is back in the National Football League in a big way. He has taken over the Panthers franchise instantly.
So, if you were the GM of Carolina Panthers, how do you expect to still be hired in a few weeks?
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, if they squeak into the playoffs, he'll keep his job. But it is they worked pretty hard to find a replacement for Cam Newton, only for him to just show up, come back in through the back door, and take this show on the road again, man. It's really I love it because, as I'm sure any football fan will know, but if you're not as familiar with the NFL, Cam Newton, longtime Carolina Panthers legend, probably the greatest player in Panthers history, I would say. If not him, Luke Kuechly is also on the list. They have some names, but I would think he's the best player in Panthers history. his coach for basically the entire time he was on Carolina was Ron Rivera, who now coaches the Washington professional football team. And Boris, wouldn't you know it, Washington is in Carolina this week. It's the Cam Newton Revenge Bowl right out of the gate. Cam Newton's first start with the Panthers is against his former coach, a man who didn't want him anymore, who casted him aside. I'm actually so excited to watch a Washington versus Carolina game.
Yeah. I never thought I would say that, to be honest. But here we are, Washington, Carolina. I'm excited.
Yeah, so of course I'm already out on fantasy football this week because I'm playing my good friend Kyle, and he started the Patriots defense, and they played the god-awful dog shit Atlanta Falcons last night and shut them out 25-0. So screw you, Matt Ryan, and screw you, Kyle.
Hilarious. No, but Jesus Christ, man, how the Falcons? How do you not score a point against the Patriots? Like, come on. How do you get shut out in the NFL?
Belichick's a good coach. Pats have a good defense, and Matt Ryan is at the end of his career. It's over for him. He is no longer a NFL quality quarterback, I don't think.
Yep. Taking a look at the Week 11 schedule. There's no game outside of the Washington football team versus Carolina Panthers game. There's not a game that's jumping at me. But before we talk about that, dude, we got to talk about Week 10. Week 10 was crazy. Number one, the Dolphins, back-to-back wins. Who would have thought?
Yeah, baby, we're back.
Sure.
It's all Finkel all the time around here. The Dolphins are, and they're going for 3 because they're going to crank the Jets this week, I'm hoping. Flacco and the New York Jets.
I'm hoping. But yeah, it was just a very weird week in the NFL yet again. Like some of these games. Number one, the Rams. They better start winning.
Yeah, that's weird. The Rams, yeah. Well, I heard a good breakdown of why the Rams lost. Apparently, and this is not an original thought. Well, on paper, though, I think you would say they have the best roster on paper in the NFL. I guess the problem is that they're not playing physical. They're not making their tackles. They're being bullied around. The receivers are quote unquote soft. Matt Stafford doesn't like getting hit at this advanced age. I think it's and again, like I'm not watching every Rams game. I heard this said, but apparently the book on the Rams is that they're a soft prima donna, pretty boy type of team, Boris. They're getting slapped in the mouth.
Here's the thing. I'm not shocked about this. If you look at on paper, they have star after star after star after star. But we all know what happens when you bring a bunch of stars together in certain sports, right? Like it just doesn't work. This isn't LeBron James getting his buddies to play, right? This is literally a GM playing fantasy football GM mode, trying to get the best players of the best teams, and they're not technically always going to gel. And because they're all stars, you're going to get that soft style of play. And you can have that soft style of play from one or two players, but when your entire team is playing soft, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get beat by the San Francisco 49ers on Monday night, 31-10.
Right, exactly. And I wouldn't write the book on the Rams yet. I think it's not even American Thanksgiving. The season's far from over. But yeah, man, it's definitely time to worry about the Rams. It is certainly far past the time to worry about them, I think. But like the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs looked like garbage for the first little bit of the season, but last week they beat the Raiders 41-14, and it's like, uh-oh, here comes KC. Like perhaps we were too quick to write them off. So let's just not write off these Rams yet. Let's just keep in mind that they have an insane amount of talent.
Yeah, and then a week after beating the Cowboys, the Broncos lost 30-13 to the Eagles.
Exactly. Football, she is a harsh motherfucker, Boris, to quote old school.
Yep. Oh, 1,000%. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. This is going to be such a weird week for football. But, I guess, should we talk about the Thanksgiving games as well? Because the games kind of are this week-ish. We have the Bears and the Lions, and then we have the Raiders and the Cowboys. And then we also have the Bills and the Saints.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, we might actually be recording in the middle of those Thanksgiving games. Next week's BAM is probably going to come at you while watching these Thanksgiving games, I think.
Well, we need to talk about that because it is my birthday on Wednesday. So let's just.
Oh, word!
Let's. We need to talk about our recording schedule offline.
Very good. Well, happy almost birthday, buddy. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. We did miss one game. Cowboys versus Chiefs. That's the main event this week. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Dak Prescott versus Pat Mahomes. That's your marquee main event mustard right there, buddy.
Yeah, 100%. All right, man. Well, that is the week in sports, and from the eyes of Boris and Matt, I guess it's time that we jump into the wrestling section. And unfortunately, 13 days after the last, 14 days, a week after the last round of releases, WWE does it again.
Do you know that they have cut 80 performers in 2021?
Yes.
80.
Yes, 80. So
that tells you two things. One, they're ruthless and they don't give a shit about any human being. But two, boy, that roster was way too bloated. If they could, the fact that they could lose 80 bodies and not bat an eyelash is pretty stunning, man.
You know, so yes. Let's put a pin on that conversation for 1 second. All right, so on Thursday night, it was reported from Fightful that WWE has released John Morrison, Tegan Knox, Drake Maverick, Shane Thorne, Jackson Riker, Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, and Isaiah Swerve Scott. Matt, what's your initial reaction looking at this list?
My initial reaction is I know AEW is bloated and also they have a lot of people on the roster, but they need to sign Hit Row right away, or at least sign Isaiah Swerve Scott immediately.
I thought you were going to say sign Jackson Riker.
Could you imagine throwing him into the AEW locker room? I was not going to say that.
You know where Jackson? I will be shocked if Jackson Riker doesn't end up in NWA.
That's certainly his destination. Gunner. Yes. Man, it's just Hit Row. He debuted in NXT TV May 11th, 2021. May 11th, they were dubbed Hit Row.
You know what shocks me the most and hurts me in my balls, my cojones, is the fact that War Games hasn't even happened yet. War Games is in a week and a half, 2 weeks and a half, and we were pegging Legado del Fantasma and Hit Row for that match just 2 months ago.
It would have been, I think it would have been an awesome match. The first ever mixed War Games. I think they could have even hit B-Fab and Elektra pretty well in that match. I think it could have been really good. And they've already fired Hit Row. Hit Row should have never been called up, not because they weren't bad, but they just weren't ready. Hit Row should still be cool heels in NXT. The fact that they got turned babyface, called up, and fired already. It's completely fucking asinine. Right. Swerve Scott especially, man. Swerve Scott is like over 6 feet, over 200 pounds, I believe. He's like a big enough guy. The fact that he's like 30 or 31, I don't think he's very old. It's just crazy. They don't give these people chances anymore. They don't even give them a chance. And if you're a fan, if you're a young fan, how could you possibly invest in any character? How could you possibly invest in any of the young up-and-coming wrestlers? Because they're just getting fired like clockwork every couple weeks.
Yeah, literally every couple weeks. I can't believe this is happening. Like literally 2 weeks ago, we were talking about this on the Smack Daddies podcast. Like, it's just absolutely crazy to think that here we go another round. And like I say, it's just turning into that meme. Here we go again, right? Like, it's just like, it's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that they got rid of Top Dollar, like, this is a guy that looks like he could fit into the mold. Like, this just goes to show you that it's like, these corporate cuts, that's all this is. They're just literally eliminating numbers off of a spreadsheet, and that's it. They're not looking at talent. They're not looking at look. They're not looking at much. Because when you get rid of people like Bronson Reed, now Jonah in New Japan, when you get rid of Top Dollar, when you get rid of Braun Strowman, when you get rid of these people who you think would fit, Karrion Kross, these people who you think would fit the WWE mold, it just doesn't make sense from any point of view outside of the fact that it's spreadsheet. They're just numbers on a spreadsheet.
There's another thing that they all have in common. Every one of those names that you just said, Triple H guys.
I was literally going to go there.
Triple H started their push. Triple H built their characters, and we've seen that everything that he's touched has been like taken away from WWE, man. That's why when like people, it's a popular talking point on the internet to be like, well, don't blame, like, it's all Vince. It's always Vince. Like, you can't blame Bruce Pritchard. You can't blame Nick Khan. Vince makes the final decision, which is true. Vince does make the final decision. But I think it's very clear that someone has Vince's ear, and they are systematically dismantling what Triple H brought to the table. I think that's visibly clear. Like, the evidence is in front of your face.
Outside of John Morrison, which I can see asked to leave because of Frankie Monet or other reasons. You know, Tegan Knox, Drake Maverick, Shane Thorne, Jackson Riker, Top Dollar, or all of Hit Row, all Triple H, Uncle H guys.
And like you said before, Jonah Rock, Karrion Kross, like so many, Keith Lee, so many of these guys. I'm very, very glad that Pete Dunne has apparently put pen to paper on a contract, which you'd have to assume has a no-cut clause, because I think Pete Dunne would be gone in one of these batches of releases already. But yeah, man, you just have to wonder, like, who is left, who is a, quote, Triple H guy, and where will they be in 5 to 6 months?
Gargano and Ciampa.
Yeah. Although I think Ciampa, he might be an NXT 2.0 guy at this point as well. It seems like he's doing everything that they want in that brand. But yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? It's very, very sad. Like 80 performers, 80 people who have like families who were relying on this job for their, you know, to feed themselves and people they care about, and to just be cut so like brazenly while record profits are being made. It's pretty gross. Like, it's pretty disgusting. I'm very glad, and I like that we have this BAM thing going. We don't have to watch as much main roster. If not for NXT 2.0, I probably wouldn't watch any WWE over the next couple months. Like, Survivor Series looks like shit. They're treating their wrestlers like shit. I'm just over it. I'm over the stupid fucking company right now.
No, 100%. I 100% agree with you. Like, it's crazy. I'm seeing the same tactics that, you know, other corporations do. And that's the unfortunate part. Like, it's just like, I just don't get it. And I like every couple weeks, I'm more and more convinced that we are priming for a sale.
That makes sense. That makes the most sense. Other than like some weird conspiracy theory, which actually seems to be playing out, where they want to expunge Triple H from all WWE memory. Man. I think that has to be the explanation.
Man, honestly, Triple H, man, Uncle H, I feel for that man right now. Like, you gotta feel sorry for him. Man, oh man, I want to be at that Thanksgiving dinner next week.
Could you imagine? I just wonder what his future is. Is he just going to go around recruiting for NXT 2.0? Or is this man going to leave the company and try to start his own thing?
Honestly, like, we've laughed and scoffed about the idea of him starting his own thing, right? But the more I see this, the more I can honestly see him starting like just an indie fed or something, and, you know, and having his fun that way.
Buy the name NWA from Billy Corgan, Triple H, do it. That he grew up watching NWA wrestling, not WWE. Maybe that is the long-term Triple H destiny.
We've joked about this. What if Triple H just ends up like just selling off all his stock, borrowing some money from his wife for God knows what, and buying RoH brand?
That would be very interesting too. Ring of Honor. Paul Levesque is all elite. We've seen that meme a lot. Who knows what's going to happen? But I really think, like, unless something changes and he gets a vote of confidence from Vince McMahon, I don't see how he comes back. You know what I mean? Like, how do you tuck tail and come back to this company now? Like, after this, like,
You don't. Like, seriously, you absolutely don't. He's outside of them publicly stating that they blame him for NXT's loss against AEW, which is ridiculous in all fronts. Thinking that, how do you come back? Like, just like the optics of everything is just so bad right now. WWE is just like, I just don't understand this company, man. I really don't understand this company. I don't understand what they're doing. I don't understand where they're going. I don't understand so much of this company, because we have this conversation on Tuesday that if the presentation of NXT 2.0 is the future of WWE, holy shit, I don't know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're exactly right. Like, if that's what they think people want, well, like, the ratings are dwindling every week. Like, it's pretty clear it's not what people want. Like, look at the reaction online. How many people out there are saying, oh, yeah, I love this new direction of NXT. It's so much better than it used to be, right? Yeah. Like, I don't get it at all. I don't understand anything they're doing. And, like, you got to know that unless you have it in writing on your contract that they can't cut you early, you're pretty much like, the contract isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Like, you have no idea, you have no job security. It's such a toxic thing, it seems.
Yeah, it is super toxic. And then on the flip side, you have Sammy Guevara versus Jay Lethal main events.
Exactly right, man. You have like the young pillars. You have people like Dante and Martin actually getting time on AEW TV. You also have your Kip Sabians and your Joey Janela's, who I'm sure want some time for themselves, and those people as well. There are problems in AEW, but not like this. Not like WWE right now. Like, there are
problems in AEW. Like, let's face it, that roster is bloated. There's people who deserve time who aren't getting time, even on Dark and Dark Elevation and Rampage. There's people who aren't getting TV time, and I'm sure that there's, they're gonna have issues on their own, but it's not gonna be issues to this extent. Matt, I have a question for you. With
what
WWE's direction in essentially ignoring the entire wrestling world and trying to create their own wrestlers. I barely want to call them wrestlers, sports entertainers. Do you think that WWE is in a position, or want to be in a position, to try to get people from AEW when their contracts are up? Because the first slew of contracts are coming up.
Yeah, well, we even heard MJF say in these words, he's the man who's going to start a bidding war in 2024.
Yeah.
I think that's a shoot. I think that's for real. He's actually for sure going to do that. I don't know who on the AEW roster WWE would want and would use. Honestly, like, maybe they would take back a Punk or a Danielson if it came to it. But, like, I don't think they'd do anything with the Bucks or Kenny Omega. I don't think that they would do anything with, like, Darby Allin. MJF is really the only one. I think he's the only one.
Agreed 100% with you on that. That's so sad that's honestly where we're at this point with this company. It's just like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. It scares me. And I hate to see this company. Like, let's be honest. Most of us grew up watching WWE first, or WWE at some point, and it just sucks to see them just doing this. Like, we're getting like near, I don't even know how to properly put this, but are we getting to the corporate disaster that was Warner Brothers, Turner, WCW, late 99?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I don't think the actual TV show, as bad as WWE programming is, I don't think it's even close to as bad as like WCW 1999, 2000, because we're talking about like numerous like kidnappings, thinly veiled rape threats. We're talking about racism and sexism and disgusting things every single week. And at least WWE still somewhat tries to be PG. It's often terrible, but it's not like disgusting. You know what I mean? It's not like vile and racist. So it's still a little better than WCW 99, 2000. But the fact that it's even comparable is fucking sad.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Anyways, let's see what happens. Let's see if we have to talk about more cuts in a fortnight.
Yeah, man, it's a very small, thing in this whole grand scheme. But yeah, you got to feel bad for the makers of WWE 2K22 because how many people have they just gone Control Alt Delete? Like, no, get out! Like your entire folder is gone. 80 wrestlers released this year, man. 80.
Yeah, to me that's just crazy. 80 people looking for jobs. And the sad part is now with RoH, leaving the fold Christmas weekend, like we're at the point where it's just like, your options are honestly limited as a professional wrestler if the independent scene isn't your cup of tea.
Yeah, you're completely right. Absolutely. Jobs are filling. Spots are drying up.
Yeah. And let's be honest, how many people are going to go to an NWA, right? Like,
no. Maybe Jackson Riker. Maybe Jackson Riker.
I will be shocked if he doesn't show up. Do you know that there is an NWA pay-per-view the night before NXT 2.0 War Games?
Really? December the 4th? No, I actually have not heard one word about that, to be completely honest. Ever since NWA 73 and the whole championship series thing, I've been pretty out.
Do you know what, obviously, and this is more of a rhetorical question. Matt, do you know what the main event of the next NWA pay-per-view is?
Trevor Murdoch versus Tyrus.
Oh, even worse.
Even worse? No, there's no way. There's no one worse than Tyrus. Who is it? Who could it be?
Mike Knox.
Mike Knox? He lives?
Pay-per-view main event of NWA is an opening curtain jerker dark match of Raw 2010.
Oh my God. I'm surprised that Mike Knox is still wrestling. There he is. Look at him. I just Googled him and he's alive. He is a living, breathing human. Well, there you go. NWA, hard times too. It is certainly hard times for the NWA if that's their fucking main event.
And we're going to be covering it on BAM. Woo! God bless that weekend. On the Saturday, NWA. On the Sunday, NXT. That might be when I quit wrestling.
We don't have to watch this NWA one. We'll talk about that. I'm not sure if I'm going to. Maybe I'll do something else. Maybe I'll whip up a top 10 list.
Oh, we're watching NWA. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk some Ring of Honor as we inch closer and closer to the end of an era, as they're calling it, at their special show that aired on Honor Club, Honor for All. They finally said on TV the end of an era, and it's so sad actually seeing this. So I'm going to talk about two things about Ring of Honor. That's their TV and this Honor for All special. Let's get right to it. So on RoH TV, first match of the night was Beer City Bruiser versus the ageless one, Caprice Coleman. Beer City Bruiser says, I'm not wrestling you. You're going to have to fight someone. And if you beat this person, then you can get a shot at me. He brings out Ken Dixon. Caprice Coleman ends up winning by DQ. This match had not much to it. So we'll see if obviously this match will happen, probably at Final Battle. But we'll see what ends up happening and what the build-up continues to be. I'm going to have to Mendoza line this just because, they advertised one match, moved it to another much shittier match, and didn't really give this match too much time. So I'm going to have to give this one 2.5 handshakes out of 5.
Fair enough. Yeah, sounds like a plan. Go through those shows, and I will load up the Full Gear card as well. We'll talk about that briefly. Sorry, not Full Gear. Final Battle card as well. We'll talk about that briefly. Very good.
All right. And then after the match, the Bouncers beat up Coleman. All right. They're doing some funny stuff with Flip Gordon. Essentially, PJ Black is medicating him, giving him some weird drinks and stuff. Nothing, nothing too Vince Russo 2000, but it's just interesting stuff. So Flip Gordon is like showing up in different characters every week. This week he shows up in a full suit because he says this is professional wrestling.
I love it. That's good. He's one of the greats in ROH. One of the greats.
Yeah. Then Black asks Gordon if he wants the red or the blue tablet, referring to tablet of paper, but based off the red bill or blue bill memes, the whole Matrix thing. It's kind of funny. Anyways, so Flip Gordon, PJ Black, face my favorite wrestlers, you know who, the original Kingdom.
The Boris boys, the original boys, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett.
Yep. This match was pretty fun. This match was pretty good. All Flip Gordon, all PJ Black, thankfully. But they didn't win. Original Kingdom ends up winning this match once again. I'm going to have to Mendoza line this match. It just was at best. The main event was the six-man tag team match, The Righteous, Vita Von Star versus the Foundation members, Jonathan Gresham, Rhett Titus, and Tracy Williams.
Nice.
Jay
Sounds like a
Lethal
solid.
was on TV, but he was kind of in the background. Righteous ends up winning in a half-decent match. I'm going to give this one 3.25 handshakes out of 5.
Nice, Boris. So best match on the show. Do you know their taping schedule? Have they taped more than this? Was this the last ever appearance of Jay Lethal on Ring of Honor TV?
Quite possibly. More than likely, because he wasn't at this Honor for All show.
Right. Oh, well, that's quite the trivia note for this strange six-man tag. The great Jay Lethal makes his final appearance.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the Honor for All special, which aired on Sunday, November the 14th. Ian Riccaboni, Caprice Coleman were commentators. The first match was a pure rules match. Tracy Williams versus Taylor Rust. Brian Johnson joined Riccaboni and Coleman on commentary. Now, what's interesting is this is where it was obvious that Jay Lethal was gone because Josh Woods introduced Tracy Williams out to the ring, similar to how Jay Lethal would all of the Foundation members. So there you go. No more Jay Lethal, at least for this show. This match was a lot of fun, a lot of back and forth, pure rules, the rope breaks and all. Taylor Rust wins by submission at 11:47. This was actually a pretty good match. I'm going to have to give this match 3.5 handshakes out of 5.
Nice. Taylor Rust doing business in NXT, getting W's. He was the one who beat Jake Atlas, shockingly.
Yep, exactly. Ring of Honor, you said NXT.
Apologies.
Yeah, it was the NXT Invitational, if you remember.
Yeah. Yes, that's I got it. I still got it stuck in my head that Taylor.
Exactly, I know exactly. That's why you said NXT. Anyways, so this is after the match. It was like I said in my ROH report for Slam Wrestling at slamwrestling.net. This was a bittersweet moment because this is when Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman talked about the end of an era. They acknowledged the retooling that's going to happen in the first quarter of 2022, and they mentioned that Final Battle will be the end of an era, but we are building up to a TV show Christmas weekend. We are building up to 2 championship matches on that show. And I'm going to assume that it's going to be a 2-match show, with one match being the women's world title match and the other match being the men's world title match. We'll touch on that in a couple seconds. Second match of this Honor for All card was a 4-corner survival match. Women's match, Hall of Dead, Vita Von Star, Quinn McKay, Trish Dora. This is now a number 1 contenders match for the ROH Women's Championship, and this match will happen at that final TV show. So, this match was fun. Hall of Dead won this match at 13:53. Your typical survival match. Everyone gets their shining moment. Tagging in and tagging out. This is pretty good. Holiday ended up winning with a Darkness Falls. And now she is the number 1 contender to the ROH Women's Championship. So she will face, most likely, Roxy on Christmas weekend.
Yeah, I would be very shocked if Roxy dropped the ROH Women's title. I think you're right about that. Yeah, interesting.
Yep, I would give this match 3 handshakes out of 5. It was entertaining. It was entertaining enough. All right, next match. was for the GCW Tag Team Championship. The Briscoes, Mark and Jay, versus the Second Gear Crew, AJ Gray versus Effie. Interesting match. This match didn't go too far. Only went 8 minutes, 34 seconds. Briscoes retain. After the Briscoes retain, the commentators mentioned that the Briscoes will likely defend their GCW titles at the Hammerstein Ballroom show. And then they also mentioned how the Briscoes are officially free agents and they can win more championships in other companies.
Nice. The Briscoes still, I think they're still a huge asset to wherever they end up. I'm very, very excited to see what the Briscoes do. I can see them showing up on AEW Dynamite once or twice for sure.
Yeah, I can say I can see them honestly being journeymen. I don't think they're gonna sign long term anywhere. I can honestly see them being journeymen.
Yeah, that seems like their destiny for the rest of their careers.
Yep, and hey, we might even see them at Destiny. You never know.
Ew.
All right, match number 4. My match. Okay, so the previous match, I would Mendoza line this one. Too short. A lot of schmozzes. 2.5 handshakes out of 5. Match number 4. My match of the night. Brody King, Jonathan Gresham.
Wow, size matchup there. The humongous Brody King versus the new Taz, short, sawed-off Jonathan Gresham.
Dude, and he wrestled like Taz in this match. It was a fun match. Gresham won at 10 minutes, 51 seconds. Fantastic match. 4 handshakes out of 5.
Oh, wow. 80% handshake percentage out there. Yeah, Jonathan Gresham wins. That's awesome. Yeah, and so this was a number 1 contender match, correct?
Yep.
For the ROH World
unofficially,
title?
It was. And yeah, after the match, Gresham calls out Bandito. Match number 5 for the ROH World Tag Team Championship. La Facción Ingobernable, Dragon Lee and Kenny King with Bestia del Ring versus the OGK.
And we had a tag team title switch here, Boris, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
At 12 minutes, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett become the new ROH World Tag Team Champions.
Oh, what do you know? Your favorite act in all of Ring of Honor.
Yep. They won. It was an entertaining match. And you know what? I got to say, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, long-term, long-standing ROH guys. Was kind of cool to see them win, especially Matt Taven get another belt. But now, at Final Battle, they're going to be facing the Briscoes.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
If you recall, they beat the Briscoes to start this impressive run. So I wonder if the Briscoes are going to win. At the same time, I honestly, I'm interested to see this match, because who do you give the belts to as ROH goes to become an indie fed? Do you give it to the Briscoes? Are they going to become the tag team belt collectors? Or are you going to kind of say thank you to the original kingdom, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and give them the belts?
It is actually kind of intriguing. I do think the Briscoes will win. I think they have to be the, quote, final Ring of Honor tag team champions. I think that makes the most sense. But yeah, you're right. They could easily keep it on the OGK.
Yep. All right, match number 6, main event, non-title match. Demonic Flamita versus Bandito in a no DQ match. EC3 joined the commentary desk. This match was great. I love this match. I would have to give this match also 4 handshakes out of 5. Not as good as the Gresham Brody King match. This one is a lot of fun. Bandito won 13-31 with a bridged German suplex on Flamita. After the match, EC3 says that he will take the ROH World title into the new world and newly imagined ROH. So there you go, EC3 versus your champion, whether it be Gresham or Bandito, at Christmas.
At the Christmas Chaos or whatever they're calling it. Very interesting. So yeah, we'll quickly go through the Final Battle 2021 card. This is going to air December 11th, 2021. We have a grudge match and 6 title matches announced so far. So the grudge match, Kenny King versus Shane Taylor. Then we have for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles, as we touched on, OGK versus the Briscoe Brothers. For the Pure title, #1 BAM draft pick Josh Woods versus Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. For the 6-man ROH title, it's Shane Taylor Promotions, long-standing 6-man champions, versus a team to be announced that hasn't been made official yet. For the World Television title, we have Dragon Lee defending against EC3. Wouldn't shock me to see EC3 win that match and try to unify the titles at the Christmas show. That would be interesting, because they don't really need a television title if they don't have television, Boris.
Fact.
Bandito versus Jonathan Gresham for the ROH World title. I think that's going to be Jonathan Gresham's hour. I think he's going to win the title there. And Roxy versus Willow Nightingale, the real main event for the ROH Women's title, Boris. I hope Roxy has another great performance there. She's really been a revelation in the past year of Ring of Honor.
Exactly. Shall we talk about some New Japan Pro Wrestling? Because last weekend, at the same time as Full Gear, there was a New Japan pay-per-view, Battle in the Valley.
Yeah, I actually didn't get around to seeing it, but I did see the big news coming out of it, which is Okada and Buddy Murphy had a pretty good match, and B, Jonah has arrived, Boris, to New Japan.
Yep, Jonah has arrived, and he's a monster. All right, so there's a couple, I'm not going to go through the entire card, but there's a couple standout matches that I really want to call out. The opening match, Josh Alexander versus Yuya Uemura. Dude, holy shit. You have to watch this match.
Yeah, I heard it was like not a squash, but like a solid showcase for Josh Alexander, who's an awesome ass-kicking bully type when he gets that chance in the ring. So yeah, I'll definitely check this one out.
Yep, Josh Alexander ended up winning with the Grapevine at 11 minutes, 44 seconds. Dude, this match, I might have to give this one 4. Oof. 4 New Japan Strongs out of 5.
4 Filthy Toms out of 5?
4 Filthy Toms, yep.
Nice, man.
Match.
Well, that's a great match here at BAM. I'll definitely check it out. Getting the high Boris recommendation. Yeah, man, we love us some Josh Alexander around here. Good Canadian lad.
The other match I want to call out was the third match of the night. That's Team Filthy, which was the strong openweight champion Tom Lawler and Danny Limelight and JR Kratos and Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson versus Rocky Romero, Fred Rosser, Alex Zane, Alex Coughlin, and David Finlay.
Yeah, on the Brian and Vinny show, they said that this was their favorite match as well. So yeah, I definitely was gonna check this out. Haven't had a chance to yet. Wild 10-man tag.
It was honestly this. You know, we talk about overbooking, and sometimes we crap on overbooking, but this match was as overbooked and crazy as it was. 10-man tags, pandemonium. It was a lot of fun. Fred Rosser, Rocky Romero, Alex Zane, Alex Coughlin, David Finlay won in 15 minutes. I'm going to have to give this one 3.5. Battle in the Valleys out of 5.
Nice. Oh, so a 70% percentage. So you did think the opener, was it the opener, the Josh Alexander?
Yeah.
You did think that was the best match on the show, eh?
No, I didn't. I didn't. The other match that I want to call out was an okay match, but actually I shouldn't say okay. It was fantastic. This guy doesn't get enough credit, and that's Juice Robinson.
Juice. Oh, was this the Juice v Moose, Boris?
Juice Moose match. Some good old Moose Juice.
Juice versus Moose. One man must loose, Boris.
Jesus Christ. Moose won at almost 15 minutes. It didn't get the exact time. And Matthew, I'm going to have to give this 4 holy shits out of 5. Because I can't believe I rated a Moose match this high.
4 antlers out of 5.
Yep. Good match,
because he's
honestly.
A moose.
Yes, exactly, because he's a moose. No, this is a great match. This was a great match, but honestly, like, man, Juice Robinson has some freaking classics, and this one was one of them.
Juice Robinson, you remember when he was CJ Parker, the most hated NXT wrestler? He has come a long way.
You mean Bryan Daniel before that gimmick happened?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There is no planet B, Boris.
Yep. I love that character so much.
Yeah, same. Anytime Bryan Danielson gets to do any heel work, he's great at it.
Yeah. All right. And then the last match I want to call out was the match that I had zero interest in watching. That's Buddy Matthews versus Kazuchika Okada. Non-title match, clearly. I'm going to have to give this one 4.5 New Japans out of 5.
4.5?
4.5.
An all-time classic match between Okada and Buddy Matthews?
Yep. Look, Buddy Matthews is a great wrestler. I've seen him wrestle live, and having one of actually my favorite Buddy Matthews match was him versus Ricochet in Mississauga NXT house show. Ricochet's first match on WWE. Remember that guy Ricochet?
Nah, I have vague memories, yes.
That like I've seen him have some amazing matches, but this match was just, I thought that the styles were gonna clash. They did not. It just worked so well. This match was so freaking good. So freaking good. So freaking good. The ending, the last little bit was fantastic. Like they had some good back and forth and moving into the Rainmaker. Dude, you have to watch this match. 4.5.
That is large, my friend. That is a meaty rating. So I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, hey, I'm glad you liked it, man. And yeah, Buddy Murphy is good. He's really, really good.
Yep. And then of note, Jay White, Tomohiro Ishii. Tomohiro Ishii is your new never open weight champion at 28 minutes. Too long of a match. But it was your classic New Japan main event. So I'm going to have to give that one 3.5 ughs out of 5.
We might need to revisit this rating system, but all right, very good, man.
No, it was a good match, but it was just too long. Like it was, but it was good. It was just too long. 28 minutes. 28 minutes.
Yeah, way too damn long for sure.
And I'm pretty sure 3.5 is giving it more than it should. I would probably, now thinking about it more, give it 3 because of the length. But it was a good match, and it's Ishii. Nice. It's Ishii.
Yeah, man, he was so good. Even on Dynamite on Wednesday, so entertaining, Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah. He seemed a little fish out of water at the very beginning, but then he quickly turned it on.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, he seems in front of American crowds like it takes him a second, but they figure each other out pretty often, so.
Yep. All right. That's New Japan chatter, and like we said, the big news was Jonah showing up. The other big news was Will Ospreay challenging the winner of Shingo versus Okada. So that match is going to happen on night 2. It's going to be Will Ospreay versus the winner of the night 1 match. But what's interesting is that there is a third night to Wrestle Kingdom on January the 8th. So who knows what's going to happen on that show.
Yeah, it is. They haven't announced the third night's main event yet. I wonder if it's going to be. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how they're going to play that. I wonder if they feature Shibata. He seems like Katsuyori Shibata is going to make a return to the ring. I wonder if he wrestles once, if he possibly is booked on multiple shows. It'll be very interesting to see what the hook for all 3 of these shows will be.
Yep, 3 nights. That to me, that's just crazy. But sure, let's do it. Why not? Might as well. New Japan right now is on a really hot streak. By far the hottest that they've been since the Elite left, dare I say.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, certainly.
All right. So, Matt, want to talk some AEW?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I kind of feel like you stole my thunder on the rating here because I was going to drop a 4.5 bomb, and now that it's been, there's been that bomb has already been dropped on the podcast. But I thought there were some awesome matches on this show. I thought that the estimation that 8 out of 9 were 4 stars. I think that's too strong. I think we'll get into it. But yeah, buddy, overall, what did you feel about the AEW Full Gear program?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a very entertaining show. No time wasted wrestling, and that's what I love seeing out of a pay-per-view. Match concludes, match starts, match concludes, match starts. That's what a pay-per-view should be. You're paying to watch this shit. I better be watching some wrestling and not some commercials, not some backstage promos, not some episode of Raw, not recaps. Let's get to the match. That's why the pacing was fantastic. The match placement was interesting because I felt that the beginning was really strong. And I'm not going to say it hit a lull, because if you look at each match, and if each match happened on its own, they were all fantastic. But just because when you have 9 matches, and 9 matches, every one of those 9 matches, almost every one of those 9 matches could main event a card, it's hard. It's hard, right? So the match placement was a little interesting. But yeah, you know what? That lull it was still great. It wasn't bad. But, there was a lull in the show, and then the last 2 or 3 matches, I think 2 matches were just awesome. The one match I just didn't really have time for was the Inner Circle match, but overall, I thought the show was fantastic. The obvious, we talked about this, Hangman Page, a lot of people wanted to always say that he should have won the belt against Jericho way back when. But no, you needed an already-made star. It gave Hangman Page time to build up into this moment. They gave him this moment, and I loved seeing that. This is what the Josh Alexander thing on Impact should have been. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't cop out. They didn't steal his moment from him for heat or whatever. They actually gave the people what they wanted. It gave a proper ending to this story. So yeah, we'll talk about that in detail. So yeah, let's start with the pre-show match: Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose. I think this is the worst match on the show, but it was still, slightly above average. It was a pre-show tag, Boris. But I am intrigued that Serena Deeb is hanging around Hikaru Shida. Seems like we're getting a gimmick match there. I'm guessing 2 out of 3 falls. Maybe Iron Woman. We shall see.
Yeah, something's going on. I'm liking that pairing, that story, even on Dynamite, like how Deep kind of interfered. But, question, Matt, and I've been wanting to ask you this, but since it happened, when someone interferes, when a heel interferes in a face match, shouldn't that be the end of the match, technically?
Well, did the referee see it, Boris? I don't know. Of course it should be. Yeah, of course. Could you imagine somebody jumping in the cage in UFC and hitting someone? It would be the end of the promotion.
No, but by that I mean, the ref didn't see it when Serena Deeb got interfered, but shouldn't that cause Shida the win? Then where's the heat? Your attack. You couldn't properly Nancy Kerrigan someone, Tanya Harding someone.
I think they made up for it on the next show. But I agree with you. That's a good point. Yeah, she is a 0 out of 10 on the Kerrigan scale. Where's your lead pipe?
Jesus Christ.
But so I don't know. I would still call it slightly above average, all things considered. We went 3 stars, 3 Nyla Roses out of 5. It is a 60% full gear percentage on this one.
Yep, that's about right.
So the thing that started the pay-per-view was the best thing on the pay-per-view. Best match on the show. One of the best matches in AEW history. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was a classic. Definitely stole the show, in my opinion. Darby Allin versus MJF. Right from the get-go, it was great. I liked every moment of this. I love the story that they were telling. This is just one that you have to go back and watch. I thought it was an even better version of the awesome MJF Jungle Boy match from a year or 2 ago. It was really, really great. It wasn't quite as good, in my opinion, as MJF versus Sammy Guevara from the final Daily Place show, the Farewell to Daily's Place. I think that's the best MJF match. This is now the number 2 MJF match ever, in my opinion. I thought this was amazing. This is the all-time classic. This is the best thing that we're talking about on the pay-per-view, on the entire podcast. This was 4.5 Tony Khans out of 5, 90% Jacksonville Jaguar percentage.
You thought this match really stole the show, huh?
I thought it was far and away the best thing on the show. I thought it was noticeably better than anything else on the show, yes.
Interesting. I don't agree, but interesting.
I thought it was so good. If you haven't caught this one, I promise you, go back and watch it, even if you did catch it. It is a classic. Best wrestling match on the show. So next up we had for the AEW tag team titles, FTR versus the Lucha Brothers. I actually think they had a match on Dynamite that I liked more than this one.
Yep.
I thought it was a good match, clever finish on paper, but it did not come across well at all. Where FTR tried to pull the Killer Bees trick, but they ended up tripping on their own feet and getting screwed by their own, hoisted by their own petard, Boris, as it were. So this I wouldn't call it great, but I would still call it very good. One problem on this show is that everything except for the first match went a little too long for my taste, probably, like every single match. Actually, no, not every single one, except for the first and CM Punk Eddie Kingston. Anyway, so this match went too long, but still very good. So we're going to go 3 3/4 cons out of 5. It's a 75% Wrath of Khan percentage.
Yep. Yeah, agree with you there.
Next up, I thought if we were given medals, this was the bronze medal match. This was the third best match on the show. Bryan Danielson versus Miro, the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament Final. Bryan Danielson becomes the first man to escape Miro's camel clutch, but they kind of explained it away because Miro couldn't quite plant because his leg was hurt and Bryan Danielson was chopping it down. So I love the story they were telling, big man versus little man. This is a very good match. Bryan Danielson, it's impossible for him to have a bad wrestling match. Great match, worthy end to the tournament. And the last thing Bryan Danielson did as a babyface in AEW.
Yeah. Man, the run that Bryan Danielson's having in wrestling in 2021 is unreal.
Absolutely.
Freaking real. Especially now that I'm like, taking notes and like really thinking about the year-end awards, both for Slam and SNME. It's going to be hard for me not, spoiler alert, not to give it to Bryan Danielson.
Yes, Daniel Bryanson. I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, buddy. So we're gonna go 4 cons out of 5 for the tournament finale. That is a 80% Mark Brunel percentage, buddy.
Yep.
Great match, third best one on the show. Next match, this was the joke that went too long. It went so long it became funny again. It was the joke that you told and told and told. Falls Count Anywhere, Christian and Jurassic Express versus the Super Click of Adam Cole, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson. If you want to say that this match sucked and you hated it, I understand. If you want to say this was a 5-star match and one of the best things you've ever seen, they packed enough action into it that I would also understand that. But the thing is, just because they do more stuff doesn't mean that it's a better match. We've got to the point now where the thumbtacks in the mouth spot, Boris, has become cliche. That's idiotic. It's way too brutal a thing to become cliche. Way too long, way too much shit packed into it, needless risks and terrible bumps that were forgotten before this match even ended. But at the same token, a spectacular stunt fest. What did you think about this one?
This match, I agree with everything you said. The thumbtacks in the mouth is overdone at this point. Tons of spots. But it was fun. It was a fun match.
Yeah.
I struggle sometimes, with it's, and this is like me watching wrestling for over 30 years versus me just wanting to be entertained, right? I honestly really enjoyed this match. I'm a fan of the Bucks, believe it or not. Huge fan of the Bucks. Huge fan of Adam Cole. Love Jurassic Express. This match on paper was just something, that I was really looking forward to. And it delivered at the end of the day. And, the MVP of this match was Christian. Holy crap. The stuff he was doing at that age, just all things considered, how his body is just insane. Like that man, again, if there's a story, if there's a comeback of the year award for 2021, how can it not go to him?
Comeback player of the year, Christian Cage. I really like where your head's at on that one. Yeah. So 22 minutes and 35 seconds this one went though. So way too long.
Yep.
But it was still, I don't think I could be a wrestling fan with a beating heart inside of my chest and say this wasn't great. So we're going to go 4 cons out of 5, Boris. It's an 80% A-, but it's still an 80% Trevor Lawrence percentage on this one.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we had my least favorite match on the pay-per-view. I think it was probably better than the pre-show, but also like way too long. Didn't quite have a good story. Just like a little masturbatory for me is the word I'm going to use. Cody Rhodes and the Bastard Pac versus Andrade El Idolo and Malachi Black. Worst match on the pay-per-view. Still, if you consider every wrestling match you've ever seen, still probably above average.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of issues with some of the players in this match. I believe you used the right term for this match. I believe that this match easily could have been on Dynamite rather than a pay-per-view. If there was one match that you could cut, it would be this match. But, it was still entertaining for what it was. But I don't think that it was pay-per-view material per se for story, for a lot of stuff, but it was entertaining. It still was entertaining.
Yeah, like look at these names: Cody Rhodes, Pac, Malachi Black, Andrade El Idolo. They're all really good wrestlers.
You know who would have made this match that much better?
What? Who?
Santos Escobar.
Let's not litigate that here. But yes, Santos couldn't have hurt, probably. He could not have hurt. Anyway, just too long, but it was pretty good. So we're going to go 3 cons out of 5, 60% Travis Etienne percentage on this one. This feels like it could have been a good place for Ric Flair to come in. Like, I wonder if, had it not been for that Dark Side episode, if Ric Flair would not already be in AEW.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know, man. Ric Flair is something right now. Like, I've been offline a lot this week, but every time I log on, all I see is something Ric Flair saying something else.
Yeah, he's like in a Twitter beef with Becky Lynch now, of all people, which is just a humongous waste of everyone's time. Yeah, I'm definitely at the point where I'm kind of feeling bad for Ric Flair more than anything.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess he's done it to himself.
Yeah, you're right. Next up, we had for the AEW Women's title, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Ty Conti. I thought this was pretty good, but man, of all the matches that went too long, this one might have went to the longest. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it went 4 or 5 minutes too long, arguably after it went 4 or 5 minutes too long. Like, this went over 15 minutes, and they easily could have gotten it done in under 10, and I think it would have been significantly better.
Yeah. So this is the match where I'm like, oh my God, AEW, please don't fall into the New Japan trap of all these long-ass matches for the sake of being long-ass pay-per-view matches. And
they kind of did.
Yeah.
They kind of did fall into that trap.
But now I'm hoping that they take, when they do their lessons learned, their round table or whatever it is that they do. I hope that that's something that does get discussed, because not every match needs to be so freaking long. You can tell a great, compelling story in 10 minutes.
We'll get to that in just a split second, buddy. But yeah,
I know. Sorry for stealing the thunder again.
No worries.
Your WCW Thursday Night Thunder.
Thank you for making the point, buddy. I don't. I ain't mad at you at all. See, I did think this was good. I would say it was. There's a universe where this was a great match, but they didn't quite hit the mark here. So I'm going to give them a B, solid B, 3.5. Tony Khan's out of 5. It's a 70%. I don't know, Maurice Jones-Drew percentage, Boris. That's what it is. And man, yeah, just like I wish. I just wish they had somebody to go, okay, guys, like, let's just tone it down a little. Like, just a little bit. Just not everything needs to be a WrestleMania main event. You don't need to kick out 3 finishers in every match.
Yeah. That's I'm trying to word this in such a way that I'm not trying to be negative about it. But, it's just like, yeah, not every match needs to, needs that, like, insane length. Not every match needs that, like, or that issue in modern professional wrestling where everyone kicks out of everyone's finishers. There's certain things that just, you don't need to do in every single match, because, 1 or 2 pay-per-views down the line, if this keeps happening, I'm not going to be watching stuff live, just because it's like, I know, 4 hours is a long freaking time on a Saturday for me.
I agree, man. Yeah, I agree. The Saturday night versus Sunday night actually kind of hurts. It kind of makes me want to see the pay-per-view a little less. Like it makes it feel way more missable for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Anyways.
All right, next up we had the second best match on the night, the silver medalist. Fuck yes, buddy. CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. This was a war. This was exactly what I wanted. I wanted a little more out of the ending maybe, but give me brevity. Brevity is the soul of this professional wrestling at this point. 11 minutes and they told the story. They did exactly what they needed. They left us wanting more. Great. Fine. Perfect. So I loved this match, man. I was glued to the TV the entire time.
You know, I'm not trying to compare this to WWE. I'm not trying to shit talk WWE, but hear me out for a second. This match was literally a 2-show build-up.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. But it's all they needed.
But that's the thing, right? Like, I understand that, oftentimes you don't have two wrestlers with 20-year history with a solid story built into their history where you can take that match into a pay-per-view and make it compelling for the viewers. But they had a 2-show build-up. To me, that was the most interesting and compelling part leading up into this match. More than anything they were actually saying. More than the awesome promos, right? It just goes to show you that, hey, it is possible to have short build-ups.
Yeah, man. And to be super duper effective in doing it. So yeah, the only minor issue I feel like is after this build-up, after this match, if they're trying to turn Eddie Kingston heel soon, what soulless fucking monster could ever boo this man? He's like the underdog, scrappy champion of the streets.
He is essentially a larger Daniel Bryan Danielson, Bryanson. You know, like it's they have this. There's so many parallels in their story, right? Like it's especially after that article from the what's it called? The Players Tribune. Was it from there? Yeah. Like, how can you not like this guy? How can you not want to love this guy? How can you not be on his side? It's crazy. Nah. It's like, no, you cannot turn him heel anytime soon again.
Definitely not. Definitely the fans want to love this guy. I want to love this guy, and they will, regardless of if they turn him heel. Cheer him for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought this was the second best match on the show. We're gonna go as high as 4.25 cons out of 5 for this one. It is an 85%. It's a solid A. Watch this match. It only went 11 minutes even. Absolutely a beautiful, digestible fight. Just an awesome pro wrestling presentation.
Yep. Yes, sirree, Bob.
Next up, Boris, Minneapolis street fight. We had Andre Arlovsky and Junior Dos Santos and Dan Lambert, along with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, versus the inner circle of Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Ortiz, Santana, and Sammy Guevara.
Couple things. Number one, we can rate this match out of Nick Cons because this match could have been cut from the show.
I love it.
Number two, Men of the Year deserve so much more.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I think they're in a pretty good spot. I think they're getting featured. Like, they were in the semi-main of this show.
They're being featured, but they were second fiddle, to the MMA guys, and they carried the match.
Yeah, you're right. But, if they carried the match, were they second fiddle? I don't know.
On the optics, the presentation of it, yes, they were second fiddle. The match was mainly the MMA guys shit-talking on wrestling, and they just so happened to be part of their team. From a storyline point of view, they were second fiddle, but from a work rate point of view, they carried the match.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That's fair. I can't argue that. I think it's still a good position to be in, though. I don't think that's career suicide or anything. I think that's a pretty good spot in the wrestling business.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just want them to be contending. I want them in more meaning. Like, I'm not explaining myself properly because I know that this match was one of the featured matches per se, but I just feel like they they can be used better than this.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You kind of feel like they're the lackeys of this team, and they deserve more to be lackeys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fair, man. So I think if you look at the 10 names that we read, you could not ask for a better match. You could not ask for any more out of these 10 human beings on November, whatever it was, November 16th to 2021 or whatever. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you couldn't ask for more. So I would go as high as 3 Nick Cons out of 5, 60% future endeavor percentage. Sammy Guevara's suicide wish is my favorite running gimmick in all of AEW. Every match he tries to die.
Yeah. Sammy Guevara, I think, people keep talking about breakout stars of 2022, names like Josh Woods, Dak Draper show up, but I honestly think now that it's going to be Sammy Guevara.
It might be, man, honestly. I think he might be the breakout performer of the second half of 2021. We might be watching this breakout
since
right
that
now.
MJF match, he's been on fire. He's been muy caliente, as they say.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, he's definitely a highlight. I look forward to his matches every week, and he's main eventing shows deservedly so. So, yeah, Sammy Guevara has been a success story for sure.
He's main eventing shows without having Jericho on his corner. Like, he's doing it on his own. He's carrying it on his own, right? Like, you also have to remember, not everyone watching Dynamite knows who this Jay Lethal guy is.
Exactly right. Oh yeah, I would think a good chunk do, but some don't for sure.
Of course.
Yeah, I definitely think like Sammy Guevara is doing awesome work.
Yeah, but yeah, like his suicide death, which is he's channeling his inner Willow, his inner Jeff Hardy for sure. Every single match now, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely like trying to die, suicide wish. So. Then we had our main event, Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Title. The 2-year odyssey concludes. So I would think, all things considered, this is a slight disappointment, but still a great wrestling match. So here's what I didn't like. This match went on at about 11:35, and the fact is I was burnt out. I just was. After that show, where almost everything went a little too long, you're already deep into the third hour of pay-per-view. I think that was, it was a little bit of burnout. More so than that, I think they really needed a proper 5-minute WWE video package, Boris. They needed to tell, this was the WrestleMania main event, basically. Not WrestleMania in terms of a show, but in terms of a build, in terms of the 2-year story, they really needed like a 5-minute video package. Now,
They needed the My Ways video package.
Yes.
That was the number one thing that they were missing. That production note where when we talk about our pillars of wrestling, that honestly got to me.
Yes, man, I agree. And yes, they did have him ride a white horse in front of an absolutely terrible, laughably bad green screen, where deep in the background of that absolutely terrible, laughably bad green screen, there were like 5-second clips of he lost to Jericho, blah, blah, blah. And there were things happening like on video screens in the background of the green screen. But it's just like, you had to work really hard to even understand what this story was. Like, if you didn't know coming into this show, you were not properly told that this is the most important and best story that AEW has ever delivered. They did not do enough to tell you that. So right off the bat, I think that was a major disappointment. I think the fact that the Young Bucks had to weasel themselves into this match and had to give the knowing nod on camera, and Matt Jackson had to have another moment where he's conflicted on camera. I rolled my eyes. I didn't think that added anything at all. I thought that made it cheesy. I thought that kind of took away from this match, but still, Boris, it was 25 minutes, Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page, and Adam Page actually wins that world title. You had to, you know what I mean? Like I said previously, how could I be a wrestling fan with a beating heart inside of my chest and say that this match wasn't great? Of course it was great, but I was disappointed with a couple things, for sure.
I love how passionate you get sometimes.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
No, but no, you know what? So the Matt Jackson thing, I get why they wanted to add that. I really do. It was kind of putting the bookend to the Z to the A of that story, right? They were trying, but I feel like they were trying to do too much. It didn't really bother me too much. But I gotta say, knowing how injured Kenny Omega was, the fact that they went 25 minutes absolutely amazes me.
No, insane. And Kenny Omega's been banged up, but yeah,
he's been banged up for years.
When Hangman Adam Page says, "I think Kenny Omega is one of the greatest athletes in the history of the world," that's not like all the way insane. That's not the most laughable thing. Kenny Omega is one of the best athletes in the history of wrestling. In the history of pro wrestling. He's incredible. He is so incredible. And I don't like his promos. I don't like his character. I'm very, very vocal about that. But you have to be blind to think that he sucks at wrestling. He is so, so incredible in that ring. So good.
100%, man. This match overall told a great story within the match. There were things, like we said, that didn't need to be there. But overall, this match was great. This match had fun. I was entertained. Like, I honestly watched this Sunday morning. And yeah, I agree with a lot of what you were saying. But, you know, the culmination of AEW's history happened right here. And you had that childhood dream. You had that Josh Alexander HBK moment. And I thought it was fantastic for AEW to tell a full story and have their first legitimate homegrown wrestler win that title.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more there. So like you couldn't call it bad. It was still great, man. It was still great. But there were nits to pick, and I feel like I picked them. So we're gonna go 4 Tony Khans out of 5 for this one. It is still an A, but it's an A minus. And you know what? I think it's gonna contend for a spot on our top 121 of 2021. But I can't even promise it's gonna make the list. I'm not even sure it was one of the best 121 wrestling matches this year.
Yeah, that list. Oh man, there's that list is getting so interesting. I honestly cannot wait for that show.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a ton of fun. I actually think we have so much to get through that we might be able to do something a little special about it. We might be able to throw a couple curveballs at you. We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Back to this match. This match was great. Overall, this show, like we said, ton of fun. Couple kinks that AEW still need to figure out in terms of production. I want to see more story build-up videos, packages. I don't think that every match needs to be an insane amount of time. But these are the nittiest nitpicks of the nittiest nitpicks, the ficklest of the fickles we're talking about here.
Exactly. We don't even need every single match to get like a 5-minute video package. But Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega desperately needed, like you said, the My Way, Stone Cold versus The Rock, epic video. They needed something like that to be attached to this feud. Yep. If they really wanted to tell the story, they really wanted to take care. They really wanted to dot the I's and cross the T's there, Boris. Yep. I think that was a huge miss, my opinion. Just my opinion.
Exactly, 100%. I 100% agree with you. So yeah, it's just like, but this show was just so fun, so good. Matt, final thoughts on the show?
Yeah, just like I left a satisfied consumer. I would buy an AEW pay-per-view again and again. I hope to see their buy rate grow. And I'm cheering for this group. I love that they exist. And it's not without its problems. It's not without its issues. But at the end of the day, it's wrestling by wrestlers for wrestling fans. And that's just beautiful. It's just what you want. When you watch stand-up comedy, you want people who know and love stand-up to be producing it. When you watch a TV show, you want people who know and love that medium to be producing it. It's the same thing here, man. And we're getting it. And we're lucky and we should appreciate it.
Yep. Well, this episode for sure was more bang for your buck. We went extra. We wanted to give our listeners extra just because we were so late on this episode. I do apologize. But this week has honestly been an absolute shit show. But, we'll be back to our regular schedule next week. I am off starting now. So,
hey!
I have time. I now have time to record. So, All Elite Weekly is already up on your feed, patrons. Tomorrow, you're going to get 2 shows. You're going to get your Smack Daddies talking all things SmackDown. I'm sure that they're also going to be talking about the releases. and about the build-up, or lack thereof, to Survivor Series. Can't believe it's this weekend. You know, Matt, Survivor Series used to be my favorite show of the year. I just love that format. Love the fact that it landed on my birthday back in the day when it was, midweek. Sometimes it still lands on my birthday, but more less often. And yeah, I just can't believe that this show is now laughing stock like the rest of the company. Also, Rampage review from Dark Side of the Elite. Rampage rollout. Their first episode coming to you some point on Saturday. And then on Sunday, you're going to get a preview episode to Survivor Series. And don't forget, as patrons, you're going to be getting the link to the Zoom meeting. Only patrons can chat, talk, and give feedback back live, but everyone will be able to listen, so that's going to be a lot of fun. That's for the Survivor Series after party. And then we're back to the rotation next week.
Yes, sir. Yeah, definitely I think it's going to be a good after party, and it should be available on other channels as well. You should be able to check it out on YouTube. If you're not a patron, you won't be able to participate, but you'll be able to watch and have some fun with it as well. So for anyone listening out there, you can catch that. And thank you for listening. And we'll be back next week with NXT as long as that show is not canceled. We're here, Boris.
We'll see about that. He's Matt. I'm Boris. This is Bam. Goodbye.
You can't make me watch NWA. I refuse. Yeah.